Scientists' hydrothermal explosion in Yellowstone is not a sign of an impending supervolcano eruption. Today's explosion does not reflect a change in the volcanic system, which remains at normal background activity levels. A hydrothermal explosion rocked the Biscuit Basin area of Yellowstone National Park on Tuesday morning, sending tourists running for safety as boiling water, rocks and mud piles flew into the air amid a huge plume of steam. Park officials said no injuries were reported. However, for safety reasons, Biscuit Basin, including the parking lot and boardwalk, was temporarily closed. Photos of the aftermath of the explosion shared by the National Park Service show some damage to the boardwalk near the site of the explosion, which occurred near Sapphire Pool, not far from the iconic Old Faithful geyser. That may not be the buzz you want to hear from a place where a supervolcano is capable of destroying the continent, but don't worry. Officials say it's not a sign of a major eruption. There is no other monitoring data indicating a change in the Yellowstone region, the Park Service said in a statement. Today's eruption does not reflect a change in the volcanic system, which remains at normal background activity levels. Hydrothermal eruptions are not uncommon at Yellowstone and typically occur once or twice a year. However, it's not every day that you get spectacular footage like this, and the video shows how small the tourists look next to the dark, towering plume of the eruption. The eruption was big, but compared to some other hydrothermal eruptions that have occurred in the past, it wasn't massive. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, these sudden eruptions of pressurized, superheated water can sometimes reach heights of more than a mile and leave craters about the same diameter. The largest known hydrothermal crater is about 1.5 miles across, formed 13,800 years ago. However, many hydrothermal eruptions can be as small as a few dozen feet, and large ones only occur every 700 years on average. No one is known to have been killed by one of these events, but their volatility poses a unique danger. Hydrothermal explosions, which are episodes of water suddenly turning to steam, are notoriously difficult to predict, the USGS said on X, formerly known as Twitter. They may not give any warning signs at all. Scientists look for a number of precursors that portend a magmatic eruption, such as increased frequency and intensity of earthquakes. We might also see more activity at nearby volcanic vents called fumaroles. Right now, none of these are showing up. Hydrothermal explosions like the one we're seeing today are not a sign of an impending volcanic eruption, and they are not caused by magma rising to the surface, Michael Poland, the scientist in charge of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, said in a statement. An examination of high-resolution satellite data indicated that the thermal features on Porcelain Terrace went from being very active to mostly dormant between April 2 and 21, 2024. The new crater and disrupted ground were too small to be visible in these images, but the timing of changes to the nearby thermal features provided a starting point for examining monitoring data for signs of an explosion. The new hydrothermal monitoring site at Norris Geyser Basin includes not only GPS and seismic sensors, but also an infrasound array, which can detect the strength and directionality of low-frequency acoustic energy. The station recorded a strong acoustic signal from the direction of the new crater. Seismometers in the region also recorded a signal, but based on their distance from the crater, the signal was moving at the speed of sound, and not at the speed of a seismic wave. Evidence that the signal was caused by a surface event and not an earthquake. There were no obvious immediate precursors to the explosion in monitoring data. It might be that no changes occurred, or perhaps they were too small to be detected by the stations, the closest of which was about 1,640 feet, 500 meters, away. But the data that were recorded unequivocally identified the explosion, which is the first time such an event was recognized using geophysical data in Yellowstone National Park. And using this example, it may be possible to design alarms that can detect future similar events at Norris Geyser Basin using the new monitoring station.